She bought an abandoned restaurant for pennies to shoot her next viral video. Everyone said she was wasting her money, but when she opened that kitchen door at midnight, what she discovered there changed everything she believed about food, success, and herself. Before we start, hit that subscribe button and write in the comments what city you're watching from. Let's build a community together. Jessica Torres stared at her phone screen. 2.1 million followers. Brand deals worth six figures. A penthouse in downtown LA. She had everything, and she felt absolutely nothing. She scrolled through her own Instagram feed. Picture after picture of perfectly plated dishes, her face frozen in fake ecstasy. OMG, this truffle risotto is literally life-changing, the caption screamed. She didn't even like risotto. Her assistant burst into the room. Jess, I've got it. The perfect concept for your new YouTube series. Jessica didn't look up. Another restaurant tour? Another cooking challenge? No, better. We buy an abandoned restaurant. You document the entire transformation, from ruin to glory. Think of the drama, the before and after shots. The sponsors will eat it up. Jessica finally raised her eyes. Buy a restaurant? That's expensive. Not this one. It's in a condemned neighborhood, place called the Harvest Table. Been closed for 8 years. Owner's desperate. You could get it for practically nothing. Jessica's mind calculated instantly. Renovation content could run for months. Before and after videos. Sponsorship opportunities. Merch potential. How much? 30,000? Maybe less. She laughed. That's what I spend on a handbag. Show me the listing. 3 days later, she stood in front of the Harvest Table for the first time. The building looked like it had survived a war. Windows shattered. Graffiti covered every surface. The sign hung at an angle, barely attached. Her camera operator whistled. This is rough. You sure about this? It's perfect. People love a comeback story. Jessica pushed open the front door. It groaned on rusted hinges. Inside was worse. Tables overturned and rotting. Ceiling tiles collapsed in heaps. Water damage streaked the walls. Trash everywhere. Get all of this, Jessica told her videographer. She put on her camera smile. Hey everyone, welcome to my newest project. As you can see, we've got our work cut out for us. But I promise you, this place is going to be stunning. They moved through the dining room. Each step crunched on broken glass. The air smelled of mold and decay. Then they reached the kitchen door. Jessica grabbed the handle. It didn't move. She pulled harder. Nothing. That's weird, her videographer said. It's locked. From the inside, Jessica added, peering at the lock. And this padlock looks new. They both went quiet. In an abandoned building that had been empty for 8 years, someone had installed a fresh padlock. Recently, a sound from upstairs made them jump. Footsteps, clear and deliberate. The videographer grabbed his equipment. I'm out. This place is creepy. Wait, but he was already heading for the exit. Jessica stood alone in the decaying restaurant. The footsteps had stopped. The building was silent again. But that lock, that new, shiny padlock on the kitchen door. Someone had been here. Maybe still was here. She took photos of everything with her phone. The lock, the door, the stairs leading up. Then she left, glancing back once. For just a second, she thought she saw a curtain move in an upstairs window. Probably just rats, she told herself, but she knew better. Rats don't install padlocks. That night she couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about that kitchen door. What was someone hiding in there? Drugs? Stolen goods? Squatters? Or maybe it was nothing. Maybe the building inspector had locked it for safety reasons, but inspectors don't use personal padlocks. By 10 p.m., curiosity consumed her. She grabbed her handheld camera, the one she used for authentic vlog content. If there was a story here, she wanted it. Jessica pulled up to the Harvest Table at 11 p.m. The street was dark. Most buildings around were vacant. A single streetlight flickered at the corner. She'd called her crew for this night shoot. They'd refused. Too dangerous, they said. Get security. But security meant questions. Questions meant delays. And if something interesting was happening in that kitchen, she wanted to capture it first. She had her phone for emergencies and her camera for content. That was enough. The front door was unlocked. She'd left it that way earlier. She stepped inside, flashlight in one hand, camera in the other. The dining room looked even more sinister at night. Shadows moved with her light. Every sound echoed. She moved toward the kitchen door. The padlock was still there. But now she heard something else. Voices, muffled but definitely voices. And underneath that, a sound she never expected. Running water, the hiss of a gas stove. Someone was cooking in her kitchen. Jessica's hands shook as she raised the camera. She was either about to capture amazing content or get herself killed. Maybe both. She pulled out a small crowbar from her bag. She'd brought it to pry open cabinets. Now she used it on the padlock. The metal groaned. Once, twice. On the third pull, it snapped. The voices inside went silent. They'd heard her. Too late to back out now. Jessica pushed the door open. 5 teenagers froze and stared at her. They stood around a working industrial stove. Pots bubbled with soup. Trays of sandwiches covered a steel counter. The kitchen was clean, organized, functional. The oldest girl stepped forward. Maybe 16. Dark hair pulled back. Confident posture, despite the fear in her eyes. "Please don't call the cops," the girl said. "Just give us 5 minutes to explain." Jessica's mind raced. This was not drugs, not theft. These kids were cooking food, real food. "Who are you?" Jessica demanded, camera still rolling. "How did you get in here? This is private property." A younger boy, maybe 14, crossed his arms. "Private property you bought 3 days ago. We've been here 4 months." "Marcus, shut up," the lead girl hissed. Then to Jessica, "I'm Riley. This is Marcus, Dev, Priya, and Jamal. We're not hurting anyone." Jessica looked at each of them. 2 of them were clearly twins. The youngest boy, Jamal, looked terrified. He couldn't be more than 13. "You're trespassing," Jessica said. "I could have you arrested." "We know," Riley said quietly. "But before you do that, let me tell you what we're doing here. I can see what you're doing, breaking and entering, using utilities you're not paying for. That's theft." "We're feeding people," Riley shot back. 40 kids from this neighborhood, kids who go to bed hungry every night, kids whose parents work 3 jobs and still can't afford groceries." Jessica lowered her camera slightly. "What?" Marcus stepped forward. "We're from foster care, group homes, poor families. We know what it's like to be hungry, really hungry, not "I skipped lunch" hungry. I haven't eaten in 2 days hungry." The twin girl, Priya, added, "We found this place 4 months ago. The gas line still worked. Water too. We started small, making sandwiches, then soup. Now we feed 40 kids every night." "With what money?" Jessica asked. "Donations from the food bank," Riley said. "Dumpster diving behind grocery stores. They throw away so much good food. We rescue it. We use it." Dev, the twin boy, pointed to the trays. "Tonight we're making vegetable soup and turkey sandwiches. There's kids waiting outside right now. They've been waiting since 9. Jessica moved to the back door. She cracked it open. Sure enough, in the alley, dozens of children sat on the ground, ages 6 to 15, quiet, patient, hungry. She closed the door and turned back to the teenagers. "This is insane. You can't just break into a building and start a soup kitchen." "Why not?" Riley asked. "The building was empty. The kids were hungry. We fixed a problem." "You're children yourselves," Jessica said. "Where are your parents? Your guardians?" Silence, heavy and painful. Finally, Jamal spoke for the first time, his voice barely a whisper. "My sister died 2 years ago. She was 7. We didn't have enough food. I watched her get thinner and thinner. Then one day, she didn't wake up." The room went completely silent. Jessica felt something crack inside her chest. "I'm not watching more. Kids die," Jamal continued. "Not when I can do something about it." Jessica lowered her camera completely. These weren't criminals. These were children. Desperate, resourceful, heartbroken children trying to save other children. But they were still in her building, using her utilities, breaking the law. "This is my property," she said, though her voice had less conviction now. "You're trespassing. You're done. I want you out. Tonight." Riley's face hardened. "Fine. You're right. It's your property, your decision. She turned to the others. Pack it up. We're leaving. What about the kids outside? Depriya asked. They'll go hungry, Riley said flatly. Like they did before we started. Like they will after we're gone. The teenagers started turning off burners, packing up food, moving in defeated silence. Jessica stood there with her camera, watching them destroy something good, something real, and she felt nothing but shame. Wait, Jessica heard herself say. Just wait. Riley turned back. Why? You made your decision. This is your property. We're trespassing. You want us out? I do. I should, but Jessica struggled for words. What you're doing here? Why should I believe it's real? Because 40 kids are sitting in an alley right now, Marcus said. That's real enough. Jessica's influencer instincts kicked in. There was a story here. A big one. Disadvantaged teens running an underground soup kitchen. The footage could be incredible. The engagement numbers would be massive. But something else nagged at her. Something she couldn't name. Riley watched her carefully. Then she made a decision. Taste the food before you destroy us. What? You're a food critic, right? That's what you do. You taste food and judge it. So taste ours, then decide. Jessica almost laughed. You want me to eat food you pulled from dumpsters? Food made by teenagers in an illegal kitchen? No. Why not? Riley challenged. You review restaurants that charge $200 a plate. When's the last time you ate something that actually mattered? When's the last time I ate something real? Jessica repeated. Every day, I eat at the best restaurants in the city. Marcus shook his head. You eat Instagram posts. You eat content. When did you last eat food made with love? Food made because someone cared if you were hungry? The words hit Jessica like a physical blow. She stood there, camera hanging from her hand, and realized she couldn't remember. Every meal for the past 5 years had been transactional. For content, for sponsors, for followers. She hadn't eaten for pleasure since… when? Since before her grandmother died? That was 10 years ago. One taste, Riley said. That's all I'm asking. Then if you still want us gone, we'll go, no argument. Jessica knew she should refuse. This was manipulation. This was them buying time. She should call the police right now. Instead, she heard herself say, fine, one taste. Riley moved to the stove with practiced efficiency. She ladled soup into a simple white bowl, added a slice of bread on the side, brought it to Jessica. Vegetable soup, Riley said. Carrots, potatoes, celery, onions. The bread is from the bakery dumpster. Day old, but I toasted it. Jessica took the bowl. It looked ordinary, plain, nothing Instagram-worthy about it. She raised the spoon to her lips, took a small sip, swallowed. Everything stopped. The taste exploded across her tongue. Not because it was fancy, not because it was complex, because it was real, simple, honest, made with care. And suddenly she was 8 years old, standing in her abuela's tiny kitchen in San Antonio, the smell of cilantro and cumin, her grandmother's weathered hands teaching her to dice onions. Food is love, mija. You cook with your heart, not just your hands. The memory crashed over her like a wave. Her abuela had died when Jessica was 15. A stroke, sudden, final. She'd taken the warmth with her, taken the love. Jessica had spent the next decade building walls. Food became business. Cooking became content. She'd forgotten why it mattered, forgotten why she'd loved it in the first place. Now, standing in this ruined kitchen with a bowl of simple soup, she remembered everything. Tears ran down her face. She didn't realize she was crying until Riley quietly offered her a napkin. Real food does that, Riley said softly. Makes you remember who you are. Jessica set down the bowl with shaking hands. She couldn't speak. Her throat was too tight. Her chest hurt. All these years chasing followers, chasing money, chasing empty validation from strangers. And for what? She'd lost herself completely. I need to go, Jessica whispered. She grabbed her camera and ran. Through the dining room, out the front door, into her car. She sat there for an hour, hands on the steering wheel, engine off, staring at nothing. Her phone buzzed constantly. Notifications, comments, sponsors asking about content schedules, her assistant asking where tomorrow's post was. She turned the phone off. The taste of that soup lingered on her tongue. Simple vegetables, day-old bread. It shouldn't have meant anything, but it meant everything. Finally, Jessica got out of her car, walked back into the harvest table. The teenagers were still there. They'd fed the kids in the alley. They were cleaning up now. Riley saw her first, said nothing, just waited. "I need to understand what you're doing here," Jessica said. Her voice was raw. "Really understand." Riley studied her face, saw something there that made her nod. "Okay, we'll show you everything." "Why?" "Because you cried," Riley said simply. "When you tasted our food, you cried. That means you still remember what food is supposed to be. That means maybe you'll understand why we can't stop. Why we won't stop." Jessica looked around the kitchen at these 5 teenagers who had nothing, who should have been thinking about homework and dating and normal teenage things. Instead, they were here every night, saving lives. "We're saving lives," Riley said, as if reading her thoughts. "One meal at a time. That's all we're doing. One meal, one kid, one night." Jessica felt the last of her walls crack and fall. "Show me everything," and Riley smiled. "Okay, but first you need to actually taste the bread. You only had the soup." Despite everything, Jessica laughed. It felt strange, foreign. She couldn't remember the last time she'd laughed and meant it. She picked up the slice of toasted bread, took a bite. It was perfect. Jessica didn't sleep that night. She lay in her penthouse bed staring at the ceiling, thinking about Riley, about Marcus, about Jamal's dead sister, about the taste of that soup. By 6 a.m., she was dressed and calling her assistant. "Meet me at the harvest table. Bring the good cameras. All of them." "What? Why?" "Just do it. This is important." Her assistant arrived an hour later, looking confused. "I thought we were done with this place. I thought you were calling the cops." "Change of plans," Jessica said. "We're documenting what these kids are doing. Their whole operation, every detail." "You can't be serious. This is career suicide." "Maybe, but it's the first real thing I've done in 10 years. Inside, the teenagers were already there, preparing for the day. They froze when Jessica walked in with cameras. Riley stepped forward, defensive. "What's this? You bringing media to expose us?" "No," Jessica said. "I'm bringing media to protect you, to tell your story, but only if you want me to." The kids looked at each other, silent communication passing between them. "Why?" Riley asked. "Yesterday you wanted us gone. Yesterday I was wrong. Yesterday I was still pretending to be someone I'm not." Jessica set down her camera bag. "Look, I can't promise this will work, but I have 2 million followers. That's 2 million people who could learn what you're doing here, who could help." Marcus crossed his arms. "Or 2 million people who could judge us, call us criminals." "That's possible too," Jessica admitted, "but I'm willing to take that risk if you are." Riley studied her for a long moment, then nodded. "Okay, but we control what you film. We approve everything before it goes online." "Deal." They spent the day cleaning the restaurant properly. Jessica worked alongside them, scrubbing floors, fixing broken windows, hauling trash. Her designer clothes got filthy. She didn't care. The kids slowly warmed to her, showed her how they organized the operation, how they sourced ingredients, how they tracked who needed food and when. It was sophisticated, professional. These teenagers had built something remarkable from nothing. By evening, word had spread. More kids showed up. Not 40 anymore, 60, then 70. All hungry, all desperate. "It's growing too fast," Priya whispered. "We can barely keep up." But they did. Somehow they cooked enough for everyone. Jessica filmed it all. The chaos, the love, the sheer determination of these kids to help other kids. She was editing footage on her laptop when a knock came at the front door. Loud, authoritative. Riley's face went white. "That's not a kid." Jessica opened the door. A man stood there in a perfectly tailored suit. Silver hair, cold smile. Everything about him screamed money and power. "Hello," he said smoothly. "I'm Christopher Ashford. I own Belmont's next door." Welcome to the neighborhood. Jessica shook his hand. It was like shaking hands with a shark. Jessica Torres, nice to meet you. I've been watching your little project here. Very interesting. His eyes scanned the restaurant, landed on the teenagers in the kitchen. His smile never wavered, but something dark flickered in his eyes. We're just getting started, Jessica said carefully. Yes, I can see that. Lines of children every night. Quite the operation. He turned back to her. Here's the thing, Ms. Torres. This area is being revitalized. High-end businesses, wealthy clientele. Your little charity project doesn't quite fit the vision we have for this neighborhood. Jessica felt anger rising. These kids are feeding hungry children. What's your problem with that? Christopher's smile finally dropped. My problem is that my clients pay $500 per plate. They don't want to step over homeless kids to get to my door. It's bad for business, bad for property values, bad for the neighborhood. Bad for your profits, you mean? Same thing. He straightened his cuffs. I'm sure you understand. You're a businesswoman. You know how these things work. I know how compassion works, Jessica shot back. Maybe you should try it. Christopher's eyes went ice cold. A word of advice, Ms. Torres. I hope you have all your permits in order. Health codes, building codes, fire safety, zoning regulations. It would be a shame if something shut you down before you even got started. He walked away, disappeared into his restaurant next door. Riley appeared at Jessica's elbow. She'd heard everything. He's going to shut us down. Jessica watched Christopher's retreating figure, thought about his threats, his power, his connections. Then she thought about Jamal's sister, about 70 hungry kids who'd eaten tonight because 5 teenagers refused to give up. Let him try, Jessica said. But even as she said it, she knew the war had just begun, and Christopher Ashford didn't look like someone who lost often. The health inspector arrived 48 hours later. Anonymous complaint, he said. Just routine. He found violations everywhere. No commercial food permit, expired fire extinguishers, improper food storage. The list went on. You need to cease operations immediately, he said, writing up citations. Until these are resolved, this kitchen stays closed. Jessica called a lawyer that afternoon. Started the permit application process. It would take weeks, maybe months. The kids were devastated. We can't leave those children hungry for months, Riley said. We won't, Jessica promised. We'll figure this out. But the next day, the building inspector arrived. More violations, then the fire marshal, then the zoning board. Each one found new problems, new reasons to shut them down. It was coordinated, obvious. Christopher was using every connection he had to destroy them. The local news picked up the story, but not the way Jessica hoped. Illegal food operation in condemned building. The headline read. They made it sound like a health hazard, a danger to children. Jessica's phone exploded with calls. Her sponsors, her agent, her business partners, all saying the same thing. Distance yourself from this or lose everything. Her biggest sponsor, a luxury kitchenware company, gave her an ultimatum. Drop this project or we drop you. You have 24 hours. Her assistant quit that afternoon. I can't watch you destroy your career for street kids, she said. I'm sorry, but I'm out. Jessica sat in the restaurant that night, alone. The kids hadn't come. They were protecting her, she realized, staying away so she could save her career. Her phone buzzed, a text from Riley. We're done. You tried. Thank you. We'll disappear like we always do. Nobody fights for kids like us. Jessica stared at those words. Nobody fights for kids like us. She thought about her abuela, about the kitchen where she'd learned to cook, where she'd learned that food was love, that cooking was caring. When had she forgotten that? When had success become more important than doing what was right? She picked up her camera, set it on a tripod, hit record. Hi everyone, it's Jessica. I need to tell you something. Something I should have said years ago. She took a breath. I've been lying to you for years. My reviews aren't real. Most of the restaurants I promote paid me to be there. The enthusiasm you see? It's fake, scripted. I'm a fraud. Her hands shook, but she kept going. I spent 10 years building a brand, building followers, building money, and I lost myself completely. I forgot why I love food in the first place. But I met these kids, these 5 incredible teenagers who have nothing. They're feeding 70 hungry children every night. They're not doing it for followers, not for money. They're doing it because it's right. And a man named Christopher Ashford, who owns the fancy restaurant next door, is trying to destroy them. Because hungry children are bad for his business. Because poverty offends his wealthy clients. So here's what I'm doing. I'm fighting for them. I don't care if I lose every sponsor, every follower, every dollar. Some things are more important than money. She ended the recording, posted it without editing, without overthinking. Then she called Riley. Get everyone to the restaurant. Tomorrow morning. We're not done. Not even close. The video went viral overnight. 3 million views in 12 hours. Comments flooded in. Some supportive. Some calling her crazy. Some demanding she reveal which restaurants had paid her. Her sponsors started dropping her, one by one. Text messages, emails, cold and corporate. We can no longer continue our partnership. Jessica watched her career implode in real time, watched everything she'd built for 10 years crumble, and felt freer than she had in a decade. The kids showed up the next morning, all 5 of them, plus others, teenagers from the neighborhood who'd heard what was happening, who wanted to help. We're with you, Riley said. Whatever happens, we're in this together. Jessica smiled. Good, because Christopher isn't done, and neither are we. But that afternoon, the real blow came. A notice from the city council. Emergency demolition hearing scheduled for Friday. The building was deemed a public safety hazard. They were going to tear it down. 3 days. They had 3 days to save everything. Riley read the notice and started crying. We can't fight City Hall. We can't fight money and power. Kids like us never win. Jessica grabbed her shoulders. Then we don't fight them in their arena. We fight them in mine. She pulled out her phone. I still have 2 million followers. Let's use them. Jessica worked through the night planning. This would be the biggest live stream of her career. Maybe the last. We cook with the kids, she told Riley. We tell every story, every struggle. We feed 200 children on camera and dare the city to stop us. What if it doesn't work? Marcus asked. Then we go down fighting, but at least we go down doing what's right. Thursday night they prepared. The biggest meal they'd ever attempted. 200 servings. Every kid in the neighborhood had been invited. Every media outlet, too. Friday at 6 p.m., Jessica went live. 5 cameras, professional setup, the production value of a major network broadcast. 100,000 people tuned in immediately. Hi, everyone, Jessica said to the camera. Welcome to the harvest table. In 3 hours, the city is holding a hearing to demolish this building, to end what we're doing here. But before that happens, I want you to meet some people. She brought Riley on camera. This is Riley. She's 16. Tell them your story. Riley looked terrified. Then she found her courage. I grew up in foster care. 7 different homes before I aged out of the system. I know what it's like to be hungry, to be invisible, to be thrown away. When we found this kitchen, we found a purpose. We started feeding other kids like us. Kids nobody sees. Kids nobody cares about. Her voice broke. But we care. We see them. The viewer count climbed. 200,000. 300,000. Marcus told his story. His mother working 3 jobs, still not enough. Going to school hungry. Stealing food from the cafeteria. Dev and Priya talked about their parents being deported. About being alone in America at 14. About the kindness of strangers who'd fed them when they had nothing. Jamal spoke last. About his sister. About watching her die. About promising himself he'd never let another kid suffer like that. 500,000 viewers. 700,000. The donations started rolling in. $25,000. 60,000. 100,000. They cooked on camera. Riley showed everyone her grandmother's soup recipe, the same one Jessica had tasted that first night. Food is love, Riley said, stirring the pot. That's what my grandmother taught me. When you cook for someone, you're telling them they matter, that they're worth caring for. The viewer count hit 1 million, then 1.2 million. That's when Christopher arrived, with police, with city officials, with a shutdown order. He pushed through the doors, face red with anger. This ends now. You're in violation of... We're live, Jessica interrupted, pointing to the cameras. 2 million people are watching right now. Say what you came to say. Christopher froze, looked at the cameras, the viewer count climbing on the screen. 2 million, 2.3 million. This is about safety, he said, recovering. About regulations. This building is dangerous. Is it? Jessica asked. Or is it about your business? Your wealthy clients who don't want to see poverty? That's absurd. I have evidence, Jessica said. She pulled out a folder. Emails, receipts, recordings from a whistleblower. You bribed the health inspector, paid the building inspector to find violations, pressured the city council. She held up the papers to the camera. 2.5 million people watching. Christopher's face went white. You can't prove... I can, and I am, right now, to 2.5 million witnesses. The police officers looked at each other, at Christopher, at the evidence in Jessica's hands. One of them stepped forward and put Christopher in handcuffs. Christopher Ashford, you're under arrest for bribery and corruption. The restaurant erupted in cheers. The kids outside, 200 of them, started chanting, "Harvest table! Harvest table!" The city officials looked panicked, embarrassed, caught on camera about to demolish a charity kitchen after their colleague had just been arrested for corruption. One of them approached Jessica. "We'll expedite your permits. Get everything legal. You have my word." Jessica turned to the camera, to the 3 million people now watching. You all did this. Your voices, your donations, your refusal to look away. Thank you. The donations kept climbing. 200,000, 300,000, enough to renovate properly, enough to expand, enough to do this right. Riley hugged Jessica, both of them crying. We won, Riley whispered. We actually won. No, Jessica said. They won. Those kids out there. They won. The harvest table opened officially on a Tuesday morning. Legal, inspected, approved. A real community kitchen serving 300 meals a day. Jessica stood at the entrance watching children line up. Orderly now, safe, fed. She'd quit her old channel, started a new one. No more fake reviews, no more paid promotions. Just real stories, real people, real impact. She'd lost 600,000 followers, the ones who wanted glamour and luxury and celebrity gossip. But she'd gained 1.8 million new ones. People who cared, who wanted to help, who believed in what she was doing. The major sponsors had dropped her, but new ones came. Smaller companies, ethical brands, organizations that shared her values. She made less money now, but she slept better. Riley was packing for culinary school, full scholarship. Jessica had helped with the application, had written the recommendation letter, had found the funding. I can't believe I'm actually going, Riley said, folding clothes. Believe it. You earned it. Marcus ran the kitchen inventory now. Turned out he had a gift for organization, for systems, for making things work. He was talking about business school, about running nonprofits. Dev and Priya were reunited with their parents. Jessica had hired an immigration lawyer, fought the case, won. The family was together again. Legal, safe. Jamal worked in the kitchen every day after school. He smiled now, laughed. The haunted look in his eyes had faded. My sister would be proud, he told Jessica once. I know she would. Christopher's restaurant had closed. He'd been convicted of fraud and bribery, sentenced to 3 years. The building was empty now, until Jessica bought it, turned it into a second community kitchen. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. Other cities were copying the model. Community kitchens opening in Philadelphia, in Chicago, in Detroit. All inspired by 5 teenagers who refused to let children go hungry. Today was Jessica's final video. For the series, she stood in the kitchen surrounded by the kids, by volunteers, by the community they'd built. Hi everyone, she said to the camera. This is the most important review of my life. She looked around the kitchen, at Riley teaching younger kids to dice vegetables, at Marcus checking inventory, at Jamal laughing with friends. I spent 10 years reviewing $300 steaks, $50 appetizers. I told you what fork to use, what wine to pair, What restaurant was worth your money? But the best meal I ever tasted cost nothing. It was made by kids who had nothing but gave everything. Real food isn't about Michelin stars. It's not about Instagram likes or viral videos. It's about love, connection, feeding someone who's hungry. These kids taught me that. They saved me. They reminded me why I loved food in the first place. Riley appeared beside her on camera. "You gave us a voice," she said. Jessica put her arm around Riley's shoulders. "No, you gave me a purpose." The camera pulled back, showed the whole kitchen, dozens of kids and volunteers working together, cooking, laughing, creating something beautiful. Text appeared on the screen, based on true stories of community kitchens across America. Jessica's voice continued over the scene. "Sometimes the person you're meant to save ends up saving you. That's what happened to me. 5 kids saved me from a life I thought I wanted, showed me the life I actually needed." The video ended with the kitchen at full capacity, children eating, volunteers serving, love in every corner. If this story moved you, please subscribe. Write in the comments what city you're from. See you in the next video.